When Salima discovered she was pregnant, her heart tore into pieces. Her father was a pastor in their local church, and her mother had carried herself so high to come down, not after using her to brag and show example to younger ones. This wasn't the kind of life she had planned for herself. She felt extremely weak and dizzy, and at first, she tried to hide it, but soon her mother noticed. She could barely stand and spent most of her time sleeping. This continued for days, and that was when her mother dragged her to the hospital to do a test. When it was confirmed, Salima's mother told her father, whose eyes burned with disappointment. He sat on his chair, confused, but one thing was sure, Salima wasn't keeping it. Her mother asked who was responsible, and that was where matters got worse. Salima didn't know. Just the sound of this made her father lose his mind. He couldn't believe that his own daughter, who was his pride during daily service, was carrying an unknown man's child. He refused to touch her even when he was very angry. Instead, he walked away. Her mother, on the other hand, was more disappointed. How was she going to carry this shame? They locked her in a room and refused to let her out. The worst part was Salima had no idea who was responsible. Her father, who was a respected pastor in their local church, insisted that Salima should get rid of the pregnancy, but her mother strongly refused. He feared that allowing Salima give birth at her age would bring shame and disgrace to the name he had built with honor and respect. Salima had once been every family's dream child, being hardworking, gentle, and well-spoken all in one scene rare. She was always in church even before service started, sitting quietly in the front row, calmly. Her mother carried herself proudly. Salima was her world. She would always speak highly of her in public gatherings. Now Salima had brought shame upon them. Her father couldn't even look her with his eyes. He felt deeply humiliated. "You will never give birth to that thing in my house," he would shout in anger. Soon her mother became frustrated. Even close relatives began to ask questions about Salima's whereabouts. Eventually, her mother suggested to her father that Salima should be sent to the village for childbirth because it was the only way they could sweep their secret under the rag. Once Salima arrived at the village, life was not easy. Being pregnant had seemed easy before, but now she understood better. She would fetch water with the local clay pots from the village river, cook food for herself and her grandmother, and wash their dirty clothes. If she didn't, there was no one else to help her. At night, she would sit under the big mango tree in front of their compound, rubbing her stomach and counting the stars. She missed her comfy bed, the expensive meals, and the life where she didn't have to work so hard. Her mother brought foodstuffs and other things they needed whenever she visited once in a while. But her father pretended as if she never existed. The village became her new home. Her grandmother would give her local herbs to drink, saying it was good to reduce the pain whenever she woke up with backache. Soon, Salima grew fond of it. She learned to accept her fate and stopped blaming herself for the tiny mistakes she had made. A few months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. Her little shame was finally out, but to her, it was her greatest blessing. After childbirth, Salima's life was not easy. Her father disowned her, and her mother stopped visiting. They chose their reputation over their own daughter, and all support from them ended. Things became worse day by day. She stayed at home carrying her child all day until she grew tired. Some days, they slept hungry because they couldn't afford 3 square meals. She had someone who depended on her, so she had to work even harder. Salima washed clothes for neighbors, fetched water, and did all sorts of small jobs to survive, but it still wasn't enough. Soon the news reached the city. The secret they once swept under the rug finally came out. Members of her father's church gossiped about it during Sunday service, and soon many stopped coming to church. Salima's life became more frustrated by the day. The hunger grew worse, and her grandmother suggested she should beg her father, but Salima refused. If he had decided to leave without acknowledging her existence, so be it. She hawked in the market under the hot sun and prepared to travel back to the city, with or without her child, determined to work for a better life. She thought of leaving him with her grandmother, but the worry still weighed heavily on her. She tried calling her mother, but her mother never answered. All Salima held on to was hope. One afternoon, as Salima hawked as usual, she came across a poster. She picked it up, and later that night she called the agency number written on it. It was a modeling agency. They spoke for a while, and by the end of the call they agreed to come see her the next day. Salima felt happy. She told her grandmother about it happily. She still feared that the agency might refuse her if they discovered she had a child. The next day, the agency came as promised. They asked her a few questions and took some good pictures of her. During the interview, they asked if she was married or had a child. Salima dimmed for a moment. She couldn't build another life on a lie. So she told the truth. To her surprise, the agency found nothing wrong with it. They left and promised to come back. When they arrived again, they asked her to become their model, saying she was the perfect person they had been looking for. Salima was so happy she couldn't believe her eyes. She hugged her grandmother and they all danced together. The agency arranged for Salima to travel with them to the city with her baby. She started modeling and soon appeared on big highway billboards. Her father's church collapsed as people labeled him a bad and wicked man who lacked the heart to forgive. Salima became so popular that her story began spreading everywhere until the news finally reached her family. Her mother cried in regret, while her father still carried guilt. Salima trained her son as a single mother while continuing her modeling career. As for her grandmother, Salima took very good care of her. Her story wasn't perfect, but it was hers, and she had learned something even her parents never understood.